Hello folks, here's a nice little subject for you. Probably more aware in the United States than here in the UK. Dextrose. A lady I know said to me, would I like a particular cake? Because she didn't want it. So I said, yes, go on, fine, fair enough. So I took this cake, which was considerably large. Anyway, I took a slice of this and it was disgusting. It was horrible. Now, you've just been given something that's normally pretty sweet and it tasted horrible. The reason it tasted horrible was that it was so sweet. Now, when I was a kid, which is some time ago, we used to buy these tablets called Dextrose, and we bought them because of their sweetness. They're actually, I believe, if you look at the gumph on the net, a booster of sorts. They'll give you energy. Excuse my cough. Part of the virus that was left to me, and but we used to like them because they was just so sweet. You could drop them in a glass of water, and you had your own sweet drink. It was quite nice, but of course, when you're a kid, you don't understand it. I've just put this on screen, and I won't take you all through all of it because you're not actually given the answer that you want to know. But anyway, so this lady made me aware of something that I couldn't believe. I really couldn't believe that this was being put in an already sweet product. So, what does that tell you? Anyway, there are many paths from this subject, I should say. And I searched a couple of days ago. I spent all night, and actually, it was on my mind so much that I spent all night blooming going through the net looking for the answer, and I never did find it. All you will find is what actually dextrose is. It won't tell you, these doctors and all the rest of it, they won't tell you what effect it has on the body. They will tell you what it does and how it's stored in the body, but they won't tell you how it affects the body. But you can make your own mind up from what they say. So, I was looking at this subject with children in mind, because as I say, it took me back to my childhood. If you do have an understanding of what I'm trying to tell you, it's bad. It's inherently bad. Just the same as aspartame is again downed through mistruth. Aspartame is a byproduct of the aluminium process. It's a poison. They used to use it for rat poison, but they ended up having so much of this stuff. They came up with an idea how to get rid of it or to make use of it, and of course, because it had this sweet taste to it, there's your no-brainer. Oh, we'll put it in food. That'll make things, taste nice. So that's how far you can go back, and that does take you back some way in history. But anyway, we move on. So that's what happened with it. It, of course, took off in the 70s and 80s with all the fad diets and blah, blah, blah. But you're never told, yet again, you're never told what dosages, what amount could be put in these foodstuffs and drinks that is dangerous or good. Well, aspartame is something that's all of its own. It's a thing like, well, it's not natural, put it that way. Whereas things like sucralose, K something or the other, stevia, dextrose, fructose, and the list goes on and on and on. The majority of them are things could be found in plants, which is, what you can see here. So there must be some sort of good that could be derived from them, because if it's in the plants and it's extracted, then that's fine. It's like my principle of Coca-Cola. Yes, it may have a load of sugar in it, but it's better than drinking diet products, the same as eating diet products. All these diet products usually have the sweetener aspartame. But I'm wondering if this is a change. This dextrose is a change. I think you would be better off asking someone in America, because I'm sure that this product must be around, because they literally have all this starch from plants and whatnot. You've got Canada with the maple syrup as well. So what I have learned a little bit is that dextrose will give you a spike in your blood that affects your heart. Not being very well versed in science, I don't know. You're told, from what I've read, the 3 ways that dextrose is treated. It's, now let me remember this. It's fat, liver, and it's where this energy is stored in the body. Muscle. So it's fat, muscle, and oh dear, liver. I should get these well versed one day. Now I know from my own body what I'm suffering with through a bad pancreas. My days are numbered, and I praise God for every day that I live. And sometimes I wish it wouldn't, but there you go. It's God's will. God's will take me whenever it wants to. But my pancreas is pretty much dead, and no one has listened to me from the doctors, although the doctors have always said this is true. It's uncanny. It's uncanny how, when you try to deal with a subject, that you get a completely different answer to the truth. So anyway, this came about my pancreas in the state that it's in came about from I was drinking lots and lots of alcohol. I started drinking when I was about 14. And once I went into employment at 16 or 17. I think I was 16 in actual fact, because when I left school I had no qualifications. I wanted to go, straight from school into a job, and that's what I did. And unfortunately, I went into a job where the environment was alcohol. Pretty sad, really, because I wish I'd have known what I knew now. But I was clinically near an alcoholic. I was drinking 8 pints of a dinner time, and then going out of an evening time and drinking anything between another 8 pints and 16 pints. Well, the inevitable happened, and I collapsed at work. I was lucky, like I've been for all my life. I say lucky, but it's not lucky, it's the grace of God. But anyway, in actual fact, I know it's the grace of an angel. But I ended up in hospital because I actually got home and I went to bed to try and sleep it off. And when I awoke, I knew this wasn't going to go away. So my mother had already made it sort of quite clear that she knew there was something going on. So I took myself off to the hospital and went for all these tests, and the consultant come back and he said, "You're a binge drinker then?" So I looked at him and laughed, I sort of sniggered and laughed. And he said, "I can tell you, if you carry on the way you're doing this, you're going to be dead before you're 21. And I actually was 21. Anyway, and he said, even if I give up drinking, if I totally gave up drinking right there and then, that this would come back and bite my backside in later life. He said I've destroyed my pancreas to such a degree it will just give up. And it did. It actually deterred me, and I gave up drinking straight away. Near enough, it was funny. It was just funny how things happened, because from that point I did something really stupid in my life, and from that point I moved away from where I lived in the vain hope that I could start anew, afresh. But I didn't. It didn't, because all I did was just move a place and then start drinking again. And that's what happened. I started drinking again, but nothing like in the quantity that I was drinking before. And a number of years after that, my daughter was born, and I gave up smoking as well. I gave up smoking and drinking, carte blanche. I may have had a drink for a social happening, but I gave up drink and smoking at the same time. And I found it pretty easy, to be honest. I found it pretty easy. The threat of drinking was actually what provoked me to even smoke. If in a normal day I didn't drink, my smoking was about 17 cigarettes a day. But if I drank, you could double that. You could double that easily to 34, if not over 40, maybe even 60. Smoking. Anyway, It's amazing how all these things happen in your life, and how things are triggered by it. Well, I I always said with smoking, because we know that smoking was taxed so heavily. It wasn't the product itself that was being taxed. It was just a way of getting money out of you from the government. And I always said to myself, if cigarettes ever got to the price of £2 a pack, that I would give up. It was a promise I made myself, and I kept it. It's the one promise I did keep. I've made up many promises to myself and paid the price. But anyway, so I had this cigarette in my mouth, and I had the cigarette box in my left hand, and I said, "This is my last cigarette, and I'm going to throw these away." And I crushed the box in my hands and just threw it away. Should have put it in a bin, but didn't, unfortunately. But that's what I did, and I never smoked after that. Although I tell a sort of porky pie, because I did used to have a cigarette every Christmas to tell myself, or to remind myself why I'm doing this. And if you give up smoking and just have a cigarette, you soon learn why you've done a good thing. And I did this for a number of years, just having a cigarette at Christmas, and but eventually that stopped. Unfortunately, with giving up smoking, we create a habit. I mean, it's a habit to smoke anyway, but the habit, bodily wise, is the putting your hand to your mouth. I'm sorry this is going a long way around all this, but that habit turned to sweets. So I was then putting things like peppermints and sweets, generally sucking sweets, as a substitute. So of course what happens? Yeah, you put on weight. And that happened. I went from 13 stone, which I'd been for some years. I went up to 14. And my other I can't think of the word. Dictatorial thing that I used to eat was McDonald's. I would have a McDonald's near enough every day. And that would be a Big Mac, cheeseburger and fries. I would have that near enough every day. It'd be very, very weird for me to go a week without having at least one McDonald's. And I've only just given that up now, and I'm a good old age now. But I loved McDonald's. I loved Big Macs. And of course, with the age of the internet, and it didn't stop me, but the age of the internet and the information you get from that regarding McDonald's, that should have been enough to make me stop eating them. But it was like an addiction. I put it actually down to, it wasn't the actual burgers, although the burgers are part of it, because when you get if anybody would know what I'm talking about with McDonald's, the meat is very, the way it's put together is it's very nice. The texture is very, very nice. But I knew it wasn't that. I knew that wasn't it. That wasn't what was driving me to McDonald's. It was the sauce that they put in the Big Mac that was my addiction. That stuff, and we've just had it come, and I don't think they're going to keep doing it, but it came and went as a product whereby they gave you, or you actually you bought it. You bought a little tub, the same size as the sauce tubs that they give you, but you had to pay for this, and I believe it was 50 pence, 50 pence, which is half a pound, and it may have even been a little bit more than 50. It might have been 70, and I thought, "Cool, you got to be kidding!" You know, it was a shock, and I thought, "Wow." So I didn't do that anymore. You know, I'm not going to pay a vast amount of money for a sauce you can naturally get in your burger. But it does start putting things into perspective why things are costing so much. Anyway, never looked into that, but I wish I had. And now we've got to come back to the storyline of my pancreas. In 2010, I went to the States and Canada to see some friends that I knew online, and it was really very, very interesting, very, very interesting. And when I came back, unfortunately, when I was in Canada, I'd eaten something that was not cooked, but I didn't know it. Although I should have done. I should have, instead of being greedy and just going for this food and whacking it down my throat, I should have known. And I ended up really ill. Really ill. Oh dear, oh dear. And it's, again, I'm not going to use the word, but lucky. It was the grace of God that I took my medication that I take here for another reason with me. But anyway, so when I got home back to the UK, I eventually had to go and see the doctor because this really was not going away. And I was thinking along the lines of my pancreas. That's what I was thinking along the line of. But of course, when I went to the doctors, oh no, right, we had to go through the procedure of my heart, because they were the signs that my body was emanating. And in 2011, and I'm going to have to go to Christmas. Every Christmas, I would end up ill. And I gotta say, I'm trying to put it in time when I first realised this, and it's got to be 2011. Because truth came to me in a very funny way with my microwave, and I blamed my health on the microwave because the microwave was actually not working properly. It wasn't cooking food properly. So I got rid of that and got a new microwave, and lo and behold, everything was tickety-boo again. Unfortunately, this was at a certain time, and this is amazing how things happen. You think it's coincidence, but I don't believe it is. Anyway, then the following Christmas, I was still ill. But I still didn't put it down to Christmas. I didn't put it down to Christmas. I was beginning to think, oh no, my body, hasn't recovered properly. Well, in 2011, I ended up going to hospital again. Not for any sort of just reason, but because I was complaining of chest pains, and they put me through all this with my heart. And on one of the scans I had, and this is where you'll understand now, or the girl that was looking at the scans, she came out. She said, "Mr. Blah blah blah, do you know about your pancreas?" So I laughed, because this is what I generally do. I laugh, even when I shouldn't be laughing, and I laughed. I said, "Oh, carte blanche," very nonchalantly. "Oh yes, don't worry about that. I know all about my pancreas." And she said, "It's in a bad way." I said, "Yeah." I said, "I know." I said, "That's, thinking back on it, it is so funny but so stupid." And so she said, "Oh, as long as you know, then that's fine." Of course, it was forgotten about then. It was forgotten about, and of course, I was cleared from heart problems, and oh, this is where I don't talk so much. I talk more on this phone than I do the flipping talking to people, which causes this cough, which is done from the virus. So nothing was said about it. Then another few years it was. I had three. Talk about things coming in threes. I had three of this, and the second time was the same. Blah blah blah, mister. Do you know about your pancreas? I said, "Yeah." Laughed it off, and did the same. The third time, which was only just recently, and this was to do, because it's all to do with the pains in my chest, was my gallbladder. Now this came about by an American friend, a very good American friend. She was a beautiful American friend, and she made me laugh, and her manners. It was why I do like Americans. She was everything that I love about America in people's I can't think of the personality, and she was the best of that. But anyway, she told me that it was my gallbladder. So this was the avenue now that I was going down with the gallbladder. It all made sense, and I went for the scan, and she was of Oriental persuasion, and so I've got tears running down my eyes now. Let's think of my friend. What was happening? And of course, this is all on screen, but I wasn't looking at the screen at the time. I don't watch that sort of stuff, and because I'd been through the wars. I mean, literally, I've been through the war. My body had never seen so much action through my health in a hospital, and so she said, "Can you see this?" And I said, "Well, obviously I could see it because she was pointing to it." So I said, "Yeah." She said, "That's your wall lining of your pancreas." I said, "Okay." So she said, "This is your gallbladder." And she said, "If you look at this little bit here," she put this pointer so that I could see. She said, "That is your bile duct from your gallbladder." I sort of swore she said gallbladder to your pancreas, and when I looked it up, I thought she must have been mistaken, because I couldn't find I found what I think she was pointing out, which was the whatever it was I just said, to the bile duct. this from the gallbladder went to the bile duct, but the bile duct is then connected to the pancreas. If I remember rightly. So I think that's what she was actually meaning. And she said, again, just like my pancreas, she said, that is bad. But she couldn't explain why it was bad, but she just said that is bad, but it is easily fixable. You know, your doctors will easily be deal with this. So she said, you seem to know your body quite well. And in this light, yes, I did, because of my American friend as well. And so she said, I will write up my report and give it to the radiologist so that they can do this with my doctors. So off I trundled, quite happy. And where shall I go from there? Oh, well, let's not go there. Let's go straight to the doctors. So the report came back to my doctors, and then they made an appointment. And she read off this report, and there was nothing at all to do with my pancreas. Nothing at all. And I sort of sat there in disbelief. And this took me back to one of my exams in the hospital, which the nurse said to me. She said, I can tell you that there's something wrong, but you never heard it from me. So that was like a promise that I had to make, really. And she explained this. Well, of course, I'd heard this from the other radiologist before that in 2011. And so, yes, I just put it to the side and accepted it what it was. But this time, with the osteograph, I think that's what osteographs or something, graph people, she had said that that's what she was going to put in a report. And when the radiologist report came, it was nothing like that. So I sat there with this lady, this doctor. She was only a young girl. And I said, that's not what I've been told. So she said, what do you mean? And I said, I can't tell you. I said, I've said that I wouldn't say anything outside of what happened at the scan room. And I relied upon this lady's report to the radiologist that you would have the answer to helping me get better. So she tried to get the answer from me. She wanted to know who it was that had said this. And I wouldn't tell her. Talk about doing yourself harm. But there you go. I wasn't prepared to do this. So she said, okay. She said, well, let me try and contacting the people that did this and we'll see where we go. She said, give me, I think it was 2 weeks I had to give her. And now I'm going to go back, because this again is another event that all these events should have all been triggering in my mind the truth. This friend of mine in America, this lady, she told me all about when she had hers, problems with her gallbladder. The one thing that she found quite by mistake that you could eat and it it didn't upset your gallbladder, was Chinese food. And I can tell anybody, hand on my heart, I can tell anybody this is true. It's true. And I was actually in the Chinese getting my Chinese meal when she called me. This doctor called me, and she said, "Look, she wants to see me." So I said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." So there I go. I take my Chinese away and eat it, because what happened to drive me to all of this with my gallbladder is the pain that I was getting in my chest. It was awful. I mean, I can't. I've never had a heart attack, but I can only assume this is what it's like. But you was being teased. You was being teased all the time because it wasn't a heart attack at all. And I ended up, and this was at Christmas time. So you see all these things coming together? This was at Christmas time. And all I could have was water. All I could do was have water. I'd gradually reduced everything that I was doing. Everything I was doing was gradually reducing, trying to stop this from happening. And even in the end, in the new year of, I think it was 2018, I can't be precise on that, but it was the new year, and I couldn't even drink water. Even water was affecting me. I was out of my mind. And I had this friend of mine keep telling me about this and we was going over and over and over it on Skype. And my other friend in America, she said, "You're imagining it." I was absolutely gobsmacked. Why would I say to her that this was what I was affecting from? Why would I do this? Why would I tell her that? I was absolutely livid. In actual fact, I was livid. But so I thought, oh, you don't forget it. And this my good friend, she said to me about Chinese, and I took up eating Chinese, and would you believe it, I could eat. Finally, I could eat. It was. I can't tell you words without being rude, but it was absolutely brilliant. I was eating what she thought I was eating, which was flipping heck, chow mein. It was different to chow mein that they eat over there. So I mean, you get these differences in cultures, but all it is was noodles and bean shoots and meat. Basically, that's all it was. And I started off on what she said she was eating, which was Chinese chicken. Funny how I got used to get this wrong all the time. Chicken chow mein, and that's what I used to order at my Chinese, chicken chow mein. And it was great. It was absolutely great. I could eat this stuff all the time. I did 6 months. 6 months on the trot. Every day. Chicken chow mein and beef chow mein. And it was brilliant. No more pain in my chest. No more. The things I could describe to you. I'll give you this one because I told my doctor about this one. It was so scary. I couldn't believe it. The pain went from my left breast, I'm not breast as in bosom, but breast, and it slowly went across. And it was, you could feel this going across. It went across to the left breast. And if that wasn't enough, it then returned slowly back to my right. And it scared the life. It was as if there was something alive in my body. It really was as if there was something alive in my body. It scared the flipping life out of me. Because I've never ever felt anything like this in my body, ever. Never. I've never experienced anything like it. And I told her, like I said, I'd already been driven out my mind by not being able to eat. And now I'm eating. To have this as well was unreal. But anyway, it didn't last long. I only had it once. And for sort of 6 months, I was in luxury. I was happily living my life again. And in between times, I had looked all this up. Yes, I did. I looked it all up, but I joined this group on the internet called, what was it called? It was something to do with discussions on parts of your body and things that you've had. Well, there was one part here about the gallbladder, and I went onto this site and started reading all these people's points of view, and it was exactly what my friend in America had been saying. Basically, everything she said, these people were saying exactly the same. So I joined in these discussions, and I was reading what people were saying about what they were feeling. I know it was so good. I know that I shouldn't be saying that, but it was so good knowing that other people were actually feeling worse than me with the gallbladder. And they were all going out their minds with the doctors coming up with the same crap, that it wasn't the gallbladder. And they were being put through all this misery. And I then went on the internet and looked up, what was this due to? I think it was YouTube. I'm pretty sure it was YouTube. When I was, because I do most stuff through YouTube now to find out the truth. And came up with this fella with the amazing gallbladder liver flush. Oh, wow. I can't think of his name, but everybody will know what I'm talking about. What an eye-opener. What a relief. It's not the easiest of things to do, believe you me. But this gallbladder liver flush, it works. It works. I can tell you without a doubt, 100%, no lies, this works. This gallbladder liver flush works. I can't remember whether things were before or after or whatever in this piece, but I, after eating all this time, I was waiting for an appointment with a consultant from the hospital, and it was a year. I had to wait a year, and this was quite common with people that were having gallbladder problems. And this is what makes you sick about doctors. Anyway, so I said to myself that I would wait until I had this consultation, and I had two. Very quickly, I had two. And the first one was a girl, and we sat there together. She was going on, blah, 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 this is not your gallbladder, blah, 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 it's not that. She said, you don't have to starve yourself and blah, 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 because I told her what had happened. And she'd even spilt all this out from what she was reading from the scans and everything else. She said, I'm telling you, this is not your gallbladder. I said, talk about being spoken to by God or an angel or whatever it was. This is the first time I ever defended myself. Normally, as I say, I'd laugh things off. I said, you have just told me that my gallbladder has sludge. And you're telling me this is not my gallbladder. And she just brushed it off. She just brushed it off. Then she went to examine me. And she started pressing around in my belly and this, that and the other. And she said, it's definitely not my gallbladder. I'm going to refer you to a surgeon who does all this. And that's what she did. So it's another bit more waiting for me to see this surgeon. That came up. And it's coming round to Christmas. And I went and saw this idiot, a surgeon, an idiot. And again, I came up across this brick wall. This is not your gallbladder. This is not your gallbladder. This is, we don't know what it is, but it's not your gallbladder. And I let him go on and on and on. And I said the same to him. I said, my gallbladder, through my scans, has been